Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are here on a very special occasion today to first and foremost say that today marks an important moment for the town where we are reinvigorating our Edie Windsor Heart Memorial and some of our efforts to draw attention to the needs of our LGBTQ plus community. So we have some very special guests who are here today. We have to my left Supervisor Moore for the town of Southampton. We have Legislator Ann Welker. We also have Clerk Sunday Schermeyer, my fellow council member Bill Pell, and also Rick Martell. And we also have here Tracy Colson, the director of our Youth Bureau, and Micah Schneider, the programs director with the LGBT Network. Thank you all for joining us today and being here. I just want to say before I hand off the mic to our supervisor, and then we'll go accordingly. This is such an important recognition of the work that Edie Windsor did, first and foremost, fighting for LGBTQ plus equality, fighting for marriage equality, and also, by the way, fighting to get our LGBTQ members into various jobs, in particular into career spaces such as in the tech industry and software engineering. She was known for that, and we honor her and we appreciate her for her legacy. When the Defense of Marriage Act was overturned under then President Barack Obama, it was met with some resistance, as probably some of you may be aware. But here in the town of Southampton, and I learned this some years ago, working for legislator Bridget Fleming, who used to be a town councilwoman before she was legislator, witnessed some of the brave and courageous work of upholding the new law of marriage equality that was pushed forward and led by our town clerk, Sunday Schermeyer. And I just want to give a round of applause to the brave work that she did, even when people were unhappy in the community with the fact that our civil rights were broadened to every single person. Sunday Schermeyer stayed the course, upheld the law of the land, and said marriage is a choice that people make with the ones they want to live the rest of their lives with. And that was a courageous moment, and I know you dealt with a lot, but you really persevered, and we thank you for your work on that Sunday. We're also here to draw attention to our Heart Memorial and try to get folks to recognize that they can actually buy a brick heart and get it engraved as such. And the monies raised will help us to maintain this little area where our clerk actually does initiate some of our marriage ceremonies and our civil unions. So this is a really nice little area where folks can come and get married. And it means access to achieving the American dream when you come to think about it. And so we hope that everybody can do that and also recognize that the proceeds, a portion of those proceeds do go to the Edie Windsor Health Clinic at Stony Brook University, which provides comprehensive LGBT health care. So this was initiated by then Supervisor Jay Schneiderman. We're happy that he was able to initiate this with the town board and in partnership with Southampton Town Clerk Sunday Schermeyer. But before I hand it off, let me just have the supervisor of the town say a few words.
Thank you, Michael. Just want to reiterate what Michael's saying, that throughout the month of June, the town reaffirms its commitment to equality and inclusion for all. And it's a time to honor the resilience and contributions and visibility of the LGBTQ community. And this, as Michael mentioned, the Heart Project is a tribute to Edie Windsor. And the platform is used for the civil ceremonies, and we encourage people to participate and support it by purchasing the bricks and inscribing them with your loved ones. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Council Member Iasili, for putting this together.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to actually have our Southampton Town Clerk, Sunday Schermeyer, share a few words.
Good morning. It's a privilege to be here to celebrate the legacy of Edie Windsor. I was fortunate enough to have met Edie, and she was an amazing woman. And while she was small in stature, she was magnificently great in her accomplishments and her representation of her community and our community and just everything that she accomplished. And it was just a privilege to have met her. I have to say, I thought about what we went through, myself and my office, coming into this legislation being adopted and moving forward. And I had to have a pad next to my phone because the phone calls that were coming in, I had to document the phone numbers because I was being threatened. I was being, it just was gotten out of control. I was being threatened that I was going to be impeached out of my office, which I don't think is actually possible. But but you know, people wanted me to resign from my job. They didn't want me to uphold the law. They didn't want me to do a lot of things. There were actually town clerks in New York State that were resigning from their positions because they did not want to be part of implementing the law. And I was not one of those people. The law is the law, and people are entitled to their rights. And you know, it was for me to help execute that, but it was uncharted territory, and there was a lot to take into consideration and try and navigate this in a respectful manner for everybody. And you know, I issued that first marriage license, and then I performed the first ceremony 24 hours later because, you know, people were anxious. I had couples that came to me that were together 59 years was the longest running couple.
Wow.
And 49 years. They were all over 25 years together. And it was really a testament to the importance of this legislation being adopted because their livelihoods were threatened by not being able to leave their homes to each other without being taxed and other things that Edie had fought for from her own experiences. So I'm grateful to be here today. Michael, thank you very much for including me in this presentation. And I have asked, Jay Schneiderman passed the baton to me on the landscaping because he left before all of this was done, and we just refurbished it with the help of the maintenance department. Thank you, Peter Gaudiello. Yes.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, they stepped up and they got out here very quickly and they redid all of this. And our next project is going to be a pergola so that we can get a little bit of shade and a little bit of aesthetics for our pictures as we do some marriages here. So thank you very much for including me, and I turn it back to Michael.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait for this to be a beautiful place where folks can get married, and it is already a beautiful place, but it'll be even more beautiful. I want to actually allow a legislator Welker to share a few words. I can say I've really come to know Legislator Welker over the last few years. I could say that she is a fighter for civil rights and LGBTQ equality. So why don't you come and say a few words?
Thank you, Michael. It's a privilege to be here today with all of you, for sure. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it cleared up, too. We're here today because equality, inclusion, and dignity aren't just ideals. They're deeply held personal values that define who we are as a community. Edie Windsor didn't just make headlines, she made history. In 2013, she took her fight to the Supreme Court and helped overturn the Defense of Marriage Act. That landmark decision ensured same-sex couples would finally receive equal federal rights, including Social Security, tax relief, and immigration protections. Her journey started with a simple injustice. After the death of her beloved spouse, Thea Spire, Edie was denied the estate tax exemption granted to other married couples. But instead of quietly accepting that discrimination, she stood up, and her courage sparked a wave of legal and cultural change across the country. Edie's legacy continues through the Edie Windsor Heart Project, created by her wife, Judith Kazin Windsor, as a lasting tribute to love and equality. Judith's dedication reminds us that progress lives not just in courtrooms, but in community spaces and in how we treat one another and in the values we carry forward. Being part of this today is a powerful reminder of how one woman's love and bravery transformed lives and laws. Let us honor Edie Windsor not only with our words, but with our actions, by continuing her fight for dignity, equality, and love without exception. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Ann. That was beautiful. So a lot of what we do, whether it's updating the landscaping or putting in some new fixtures to make this a beautiful space to honor Edie Windsor's legacy, we need help on the board, and we need legislation to be passed. And so we wouldn't be able to do this without the help of my colleagues. I know that Councilwoman McNamara is stuck in some traffic, so she's trying to get here, but we do have council members Rick Martell and Bill Pell here. Why don't you come say a few words? Rick?
Yeah, traffic was tough this morning. We were all running a little bit late, but I appreciate everybody waiting. You know, I was on the board when this whole project started, and I have to give a lot of kudos to Jay Schneiderman. You know, he took me in his office and he goes, "Look at this brick." And it was a heart-shaped brick, and it was 7 different sizes and weird shapes. He goes, "I'm going to make this work, and here's the vision." And I got to say, you know, a couple years later, it's a beautiful monument, not only to, you know, the space, the safe space that we have here, but also to Edith Windsor. You know, I spoke back when we dedicated this to my sister. My sister and her wife had a tough time, you know, growing up in the 60s and trying to get married and having to travel cross country to get married and not being able to have health care and all the other things that maybe not take for granted now, but that some people have forgotten the struggle. My wife and I bought a brick here, and it's corny. It's, you could find it at Home Goods. It says "Live, Laugh, Love." But honestly, that was tough for them. You know, to live your life the way you wanted without people looking at you and taking advantage of your situation was a tough struggle for them. You know, it took years to get over that. To love your family and understand that your family and those people around you love you. You know, it was a struggle. It took her years to laugh. It wasn't until she moved away, retired, and found a whole new community that she was able to actually do that. Unfortunately, she passed a few months ago. So, you know, keep the legacy alive, keep understanding, keep accepting, and the world will be a better place.
Thank you, Rick. As you can see, these are real stories, and that's why I was so driven today to make sure we were all here to gather and talk about this. These are real moments, real milestones, and real experiences. And talking about that, you know, one of the individuals who's here today who's going to share some words with everybody knows a lot about experiences of our youth. We have our Youth Bureau Director, Tracy Colson, here, who has done amazing work tapping into our schools, understanding what some of the needs are of our youth. And many of our youth come from diverse backgrounds, including a youth that identify as LGBTQ. And Tracy has really been working really diligently with my office, with Micah, with the LGBT Network, with other organizations, with our board, to really find ways we could make sure that children and students have a safe space where they could share their experiences, where they can express what some of the gaps are of services. And Tracy works very diligently to find those gaps and find ways in which government and the town and the county can help fill those gaps. So Tracy, why don't you come and share a few words?
Thank you, Michael. So to begin, I want to thank the board, and I want to thank this board in addition to all the work that went into forming boards as well as creating this memorial and creating this event today. The importance of recognizing Edie Windsor, who stood for marriage equality, LGBTQ rights, sends a clear message to the LGBT community that they are supported, respected, and appreciated. In a world that could be critical of anyone who doesn't conform is especially difficult for youth. As teens, we all grow up through a period of development where we identify ourselves personally. We know a person doesn't just decide to be gay. We are all born with a set of preferences that determines who we are. A teen who perceives that they are a minority when it comes to preference will feel different, since no one gets to really choose who they are. They may feel isolated from others, and we know isolation is a very unhealthy social emotionally growth. When you plant a plant and you put shade over that plant, it's not going to grow to be really what it is going to be, if it even grows at all. This is the same with our youth as well. If a teen is feeling unaccepted, they are more likely to suffer suffer in poor academics. They will be less likely to join sports teams and ultimately not really live up to their full potential. Events like this send a clear message to the LGBTQ youth, adults that are accepted in this community. Their potential to make positive change and be positive contributors to our community is no different than anybody else. We celebrate their individuality, respect them as our neighbors, friends, and our family. Thank you again to Michael for all the support that you've given. And as Michael has mentioned, we're taking some really strong efforts at creating that family unity as well. Hopefully come this fall, we are starting out also with a town-wide GSA to help bring kids who identify and kids who don't identify together. Thank you all. You're all community leaders.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, everyone. Do you want me to say some final words? Yeah. Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, what you see is real experiences, real perspectives. This is a great moment that we are reinvigorating our commitment to Edie Windsor and her legacy, as well as LGBTQ plus equality. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it.